When it comes to EVE Online, every player wants to know the most effective tactic available. You want to know the meta. The meta controls everything. It determines what will and will not happen. Knowing the meta will alter your views, make you question your reality. It might even make you laugh. And now, you're part of it. You're watching The Meta Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Meta Show. Today is Saturday, December the 11th, 2021. I am Brisker Ball. I am joined alongside my dear colleague, the Matani, who, if you all predicted a red shirt, you were correct. It's a red shirt show today. Hi, boss.
Hi, this is my first time seeing the channel prediction feature, and I'm excited about that. This is also a great opportunity for me. As you guys know, I've been trying to learn how to pitch things. I'm not too good at like doing salesy kind of stuff, but it's 2021 headed to 2022, and I'm supposed to say something to the effect of, thank you for throwing money at the screen, predicting stuff, and giving us a hype train. All those subs are appreciated, and they do get turned into wonderful things. So thank you. See, look at me. I did. It's not quite like and subscribe, but you know, I gotta try to get in the zone. But we have a weird show for you today, guys. It's going to be fun. We have tests to make fun of. We have CCP to try to parse our way through. Shit is a little weird on a number of areas. And one of the things I want to, Bruce, do you mind if I get in front here? I got a very, like, I'm not going to go rant, but
if you want to get on your soapbox, I'm happy to put it up for you. Go right ahead.
Here's where we stand, right? And I say this having gotten out of several meetings of the usual Saturday space chores for running Goonswarm. I have some really exciting stuff to announce on the Fireside tomorrow that is for Goonswarm and the Imperium that has nothing to do with any of the broader CCP stuff that we may be discussing today. So that's super cool, super exciting. Can't talk about it here. However, my takeaway from the meetings,
such a tease, by the way.
Yes, I am a tease. I want people to know, because people might tune in on the Meta Show on Saturday and be like, well, they're just talking about CCP sucking again. It's like, if you're in the Imperium, Fireside tomorrow is going to be cool. Got something fun to announce that's Imperium specific. It's not a big war. It's not something like that, but it's something that I am hyped about. So tune in tomorrow to find out at the Fireside. But the reason why we ended up working on this cool fun thing is I came to the table today meeting wise to basically say, look, guys, before we do anything, I need to know the ground truth, right? When I say the ground truth, I need to know what's actually happening on the ground in EVE Online in terms of the effects of this patch that have gone through. Is our space worth more? Are we making more from mining? Are we not? Can we build capital ships again? Can we, what works and what doesn't? And on Thursday, when Brisk and I had a meeting, and I was like, all right, dude, we'll see if you can find an expert such that at the start of the show, before we start criticizing CCP or praising CCP, we could at least show people what the ground truth is and, whatever. Nobody can find the fucking chessboard. Nobody can find the fucking ground truth. And this may be good or bad, but the environment, it's bad. Spoiler alert, it's bad. But the environment that we are in is such that this has been a problem for the CSMs. It's a problem for the Goonswarm economic engine. Is we don't really know yet what of all of the things that have been implemented by the Rattati administration in this most recent patch are features or bugs, because a lot of the features are really stupid and a lot of the bugs look like they could be features. And so there is a general sort of environment of regulatory uncertainty. We're not certain what the chessboard is. So, for example, the knock-on effects of this are certain budget projects have been sort of, put on hold while we wait for actual data as to what's coming in. So as we go through today's show and we're talking about the patch that the Rattati administration has inflicted upon EVE Online, the truth is that we're still kind of waiting for the dust to settle, and we're waiting for them to say what's a feature and what's a bug and what's waste and what's residue. And so I'm not necessarily going to be throwing too many stones, but we don't necessarily know precisely what we as a player base are dealing with here. And so this is where I would have told you the chessboard. Right now, we don't know what the fucking chessboard is. That's what I got. Brisk, over to you.
And I think that's a legitimate issue, and it's something we're going to get to in more detail when we get to the Piercing the Corporate Veil, which will be our first segment today. The bottom line is the hard part about this patch is that it's so big, there was so much included in it, that it's almost impossible for us to say if everything is working, because I don't know if everybody's tested it yet, and it's only been 5 days. The patch dropped on Tuesday. So we'll talk about this in a little bit in the next segment. But before we get there, I would like to share with you guys some good news. Some good news. And it's good news because it's the kind of thing that we want to see around our community, especially at the holidays. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory. So, as you all know, Mittens has been on the show. I serve as part of the triumvirate that runs Rampage Incorporated. We are another Eve stream. We stream the game each night for 3 hours, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The show will be on directly after the Meta Show, as it often is. And one of the things that has creeped up since September is when yours truly becomes super toxic, as the show would like to say, meaning I just start yelling and ranting. My wife has a Nerf gun, and she shoots me with it to the glee of everyone watching the show, especially since she's 5'3" and I'm 6'4". So quite often when she aims it, it hits me right in the jimmies, and they like that quite a bit. So we were thinking of a couple of things we like to do. My wife's hobby, in fact, she's pretty good at it, is painting. So she painted a picture of the dart icon, which you are seeing in the chat right now from the Rampage stream. That is what people put up when they like to see me get shot. And then, of course, she tends to oblige them because it's funny. She did a painting of that dart, and we auctioned it off for charity on a 10-day auction on eBay. The proceeds going to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. St. Jude's takes care of kids who have cancer. They do not pay a thing for it. And especially at this time of year, this is the kind of thing that we like. And this is one of the examples where I think the players out there demonstrate how awesome this game really is. And we can crap on CCP, and we can crap on each other, and we can make fun of Test, and we can make fun of Villy, and we can make fun of Mittens and me, and we can call each other names and go kill each other and stuff in space. But you know what? I have never seen a community that is as just philanthropic and as generous, as willing to hand over their hard-earned money to other people for a good cause than this group. Now, we auctioned this painting off. How much do you think we got for it?
I am going to say, because I don't want to ruin it by having too high of a guess, but I'm going to say comfortably, probably north of an auction for charity on the Rampage Inc. stream. At north of $1,000 at least. Like
north of $1,000. Well, here we go. I will throw it up on screen. The final bid for this dart painting, $3,100. $3,100. There are professional artists who don't sell paintings for that much money, but my wife,
beautiful,
painting a picture of a dart designed for people to tell everybody to get her to come and shoot me in the dick.
Wonderful.
Sold for $3,100. The piece of art was in Merkelchen's house. It was on his wall. It is now going to Beeden, who was the proud winner of this $3,100 piece of art. Guys, this is exactly what Eve is all about, okay? We come here and we give a hard time to folks, as I said, and we love to give each other a lot of crap. We love to give the company a lot of crap. But you show me another game that consistently does this, that pours hundreds of thousands of dollars into charity, pours hundreds of thousands of hours into charitable things through like Project Discovery and other types of stuff. We've done Plex for Good. We have donated tons of money through Eve over the years to a variety of causes around the world. No other game does this. That's what this community is all about. That's what makes Eve Online special. That is why guys like me, guys like Mittens, guys like Merkelchen, guys like Anominate spend so much time sitting around and bitching about the future of this game because we know we have something special and we don't want to lose it. And we want to make sure CCP gets it. And they recognize, I know they recognize how special the community is, but sometimes it's hard for them when they're trying to hit their numbers, they're trying to hit their individual ambitious goals to do certain different things. Sometimes they don't remember this is a game. People are here. We're playing it to have fun. And that's why I want to do that. That's why we're so hard on them. We want to make sure that they know that and that we don't ever let them forget it. So, in any event, thank you to everybody who participated in this auction. Thank you to everybody who bid. Thanks for everybody out there who was part of that community and is part of our community. Keep doing what you're doing. You guys are the best. No matter how hardcore and toxic we are accused of being, I know inside every one of you, except maybe the tissue guys, beats a heart of gold. All right, there we go. So back to our regularly scheduled programming. We're going to go into, and it was, of course, the total number of bids, 69. Nice. So we're going to go into our regularly scheduled program. We're going to talk a little bit about the patch that landed on Tuesday. I've been calling it the patch from hell. It is the current state of the game, and we're going to go pierce the corporate veil and talk about that right now. We are back on our handy-dandy browser screen to show you guys the patch notes for 2021-1207. That is December 7th, 2021. That was Pearl Harbor Day, and it was Tuesday, the day that this patch dropped. As you can see, they did major ship balance changes to a bunch of different ships in the game. They doubled all ore quantities in celestial asteroid belts, where there were some. They doubled all ore quantities in resource cosmic anomalies. They added all kinds of ice and ice belts. They doubled mycocerocin. I always get it. I can never pronounce the damn gas right. The cytocerocin quantities, fullerenes, everything. They added the residue mechanic, waste by a different name. And they went through a whole bunch of ship balance. They tried to explain why they were balancing ships, which I think was a nice touch. They hadn't done that. They at least said, this is the reason. This is what we're trying to do. This is why we're doing it. This is why we're nerfing rorquals and orcas. This is why we're doing what needs to happen. And then they went through and they listed all of these other changes. This is, and I don't think, and I'm going to scroll and scroll and scroll, and these are all the changes and more changes and more changes and more changes and more changes. Oh my God, the changes don't stop. This was probably one of the biggest patches in the history of EVE. It was almost, I would say, the size of a expansion. The amount of things that changed, the amount of stuff on the back end that had to be changed in order to make this happen is nuts. So I will give CCP a partial credit for getting this much shit done because, oh my God, how did they get this much stuff done? That being said, we have seen an inordinately large number of bugs to go along with this inordinately large patch. We have seen a crazy number of things. We have seen moon fracs with a quarter of the ore in them missing, just gone. These are fracs that take weeks to plan for, and when they arrived, there's no ore in them. There's a third of the ore that the people thought they were going to get, and nobody knows why, and nobody knows how they're going to fix it. We've seen ships having problems. We've seen sites not respawning. We've seen ice sites not respawning. We have seen all kinds of massive game-breaking type things that are still out there. And these are piled on top of the other bugs that were introduced in the past that still have not been done. For example, if you run crab sites, and I do, we do those on Rampage quite a bit. The primary loot, the reason why you run the sites to get ISK is to sell drone mutaplasmids. Those drone mutaplasmids provide great benefits. They let you roll better drones that can do more stuff. They can hit harder. They can go faster. They can do all kinds of things. But Guess what? They're bugged. How are they bugged, do you ask, Brisk? Well, here's what happens. You use a drone mutaplasmid on one of these drones, and they never stop MWDing ever again. They keep going the entire time. They don't stop. So you can't track anything. So they can't kill anything. So unless you're using sentry drones, all of the mutaplasmids that you would otherwise use, nobody's going to use them, and the price has been dropping, so the value of these crap sites has been dropping, and they're getting to the point now where the value of the loot, which is where the bulk of the ISK and the crap sites comes from, is not worth running the site anymore. That bug has not been addressed, and unfortunately, it's going to go to the end of the line, given how many bugs were introduced in this mining patch. And that's why what Mitten said before, I think, is very important, and I think it's something that we highlighted. If you're coming here to listen to us tell you exactly what's wrong and why this thing is not working the way it's intended, first, it's too early for that. It's only been a couple days. It's going to take, I think, at least a month usually for changes of this magnitude for the meta to shake out. But the other problem is we don't know what's real and what's a bug. Is it a bug that the ship does? Is it a bug that the procurer is as slow as it is? Or is that a feature?
21-second align time on a fucking procurer. I know about it. And if I'm talking about the align time on a fucking mining barge, something has gone terribly wrong. Another day of the office in the Rattati administration, but here we are.
So we're kind of at this situation where we don't even know to tell you guys what's broken and what's not. So all we can do is say, things are changing. We don't know what's going on. There's a lot of things in here that are not working the way we thought they were going to work. And the result is the community, I think, is kind of out to pasture as to what to think about this. The first day of the patch, for example, saw dozens and dozens of angry comments. If you look through the general feedback on the forums of this, you'll see all kinds of complaints. Everything is a complaint. I would like an answer as to why everyone said we didn't want waste and you still did it and stuff like that.
You get questions considering.
It's a legitimate question. You get all of these guys. The vast majority of these posts on the official forums are negative. Okay. And they are people complaining about stuff that they don't like. All right. Now you looked at the front page of Reddit on the first day, and it was wall to wall negative comments. Everybody was mad. And then the second day, you started seeing these small groups of unaligned people who don't play EVE anymore, laughing at all of us who were still mad because, hey, you guys are dumb. Why are you even still here? And they were like, well, I took out my guys. The two of us, we went out and did a moon pool, and it was fine. We had no problems. And how many of there were you? 3. How many are in your corporation? 3. And the rest of us are looking around like, guys, we're not getting positive feedback from a lot of people. So I have been saying from this whole time, it has been a lot of negative feedback. And if players expect that CCP is going to listen to the vast majority, I think that flies in the face of what we have seen. What CCP tends to do is when there's this much complaining, they will grab on to the 10 or 15% of people who are not complaining and say, well, look, not everybody hates it. And what's the result?
Their wallet eats shit in Q4, and they're an embarrassment and a cautionary tale in the games industry, talked about at GDCs and in whispered voices and bars in the games industry forever. Don't end up like CCP in the same sort of way that people talk about Star Wars Galaxies. You don't want to be a cautionary tale in the MMO space. And that appears to be the direction that they are headed in currently. So Briscoe's absolutely right. This cherry picking thing is a constant issue from defensive, CCP nonsense, I guess, particularly when it comes to all of the nerfs that they put down in the Scarcity era, which has the same group of cheerleaders, usually Villy, Kfeld, elf boy, you know, whatever. The thing is going to be fascinating is just the bottom line. They can cherry pick whoever that they want to latch on to make themselves feel better about the situation. But at the end of the day, all that matters now is the metrics. And Villi and metrics don't work very well together either.
That much is true. So on the screen, this is a perfect example. So somebody posted this cartoon, which is not an Eve cartoon, saying there's a little bit of this going on around here. And it's basically the guy saying, I've made more of this thing you like. And then one person off to the side yells, I don't like the thing. You're a bad person if you don't address the fact that I don't like it. So they changed the thing, and then nobody that was going to buy it likes it. And the guy who asked for the changes says, well, I wasn't really interested in this in the first place. Now, this is funny, and I think it's a pretty common thing in video game development. This is totally something that we see all the time. It's 100% positive. That being said, that's not what's happening here. And because of that, I took the time to do the real version of this cartoon.
This is so good.
Which is more Eve related. Let me find it. It's this one. And it's not so much I've made more of the thing you want. It's here's more of the thing you don't like. And everybody is asking, no, we don't want this. Who asked for this? Wire Dread's 10 billion ISK. Why are we doing this? I don't understand it. And then one random dude on the side is screaming, I like the thing. Don't listen to those crabs. Don't listen to goons. It's all goons. It's just the goons complaining. It's just the Imperium complaining. Don't listen to all those guys. You don't need to pay attention to them. And that makes CCP feel like, okay, well, great. I don't have to listen to those guys. It's just the guys with the loudest microphone. It's not really the majority of the player base. It's just the loudest guys that are on Reddit bitching. So then they're like, well, all right, I'm going to go back. I'm going to add more of this stuff, and I'm going to rename something, and I'll give it to you. And here's some more bugs, by the way. And they're like, we still don't want this. We're going to go play Forza. We're going to go play Final Fantasy 14. We're going to go do something else. And then he turns and asks, well, you were saying that you like it. Will you buy it? Like, no, I quit Eve 5 years ago. That's the reality. That's the thing here. Okay, you've got the loudest people saying, shut up, crabs, deal with it. Don't play the game anymore. Because if they did, they'd be talking to their friends. They'd be talking to their corp mates. They'd be talking to their alliance members and other people that they play with and hearing about how people are upset. So the one thing I would really like CCP not to do is not assume that just because the Mittani says something, that the rest of the game is okay with it. And it's just him and his people who are upset, because that's not the case. In fact, if you look at looking at the show,
look how upset
we have hundreds of people watching the show right now, and they're not all in the Imperium. This is not all just those. There's not just us and goons complaining, or just an Init complaining, or TNT, or Lawn, or Bastion, or any of this. We're not the ones complaining. Everybody that is in a group that has seen their friends quitting over the last few weeks because they're upset about these changes, or who have said that these changes are the straw that breaks the camel's back, they're the ones leave. That's it. It's not just us. We're not just saying, I get no benefit from pounding on CCP. Okay. I didn't get elected as the anti-CCP guy. I've never been the anti-CCP guy. No matter what they have done to me in the past, all of that has been forgiven. I'm here for the game and what's in the best interest of the game. And I would not be providing this feedback if I didn't think it was legitimate. Mittani would not be providing this feedback if we didn't think it's legitimate.
Why the fuck am I talking about water in a capital? Why am I having to have a discussion about the align time on a mining barge? I play this game for the metagame and war and murder and conquest and political scheming and all the fun things about EVE Online. It's sort of a red flag. One of the things about this is if I seem less angry today, first of all, I ask that you wait, another 10 minutes or so. I'm sure that the spirit
he's got to build himself up.
Yeah, it'll happen. But one of the things in terms of the goons, goons just like whatever, is it's never 100%, right? It's never 100%. But I have some schemes currently operating that I have pretty happy odds on that I think are going to provide a lot of entertainment and content for people within the Imperium that I am excited about. And we're going to start testing that shit out and see if it works. Maybe it won't work. Maybe it will. But we've actually got something pretty cool to do. And that sort of creates what I'd call almost like a content moat around us to protect us from some of the worst excesses of things that are going to happen elsewhere in the galaxy. Because, you know, if you want to play Eve, you want to have fun, you want to have unique experiences, and you want to be able to have, you know, violence and interesting things happening at scale, at least if you're drawn to the Imperium, usually that's the way it is, among other things. And so I am looking at the numbers. I am looking at the situation of the instability within this patch of people not knowing what's what. But we have what I believe to be an effective path forward, which is kind of funny because if I'm right, which I might not be right, I'm wrong all the time. And again, my penis isn't going to shrink just because I'm wrong about something, right? It's okay to be wrong. But this is sort of a moat of protection, right? Because ultimately speaking, if the game is going to take a haircut in terms of active players because of the repeated incompetence of the Rattati administration, my main concern then is preserving the Imperium as a community, because tribe is love and tribe is life. So, you know, as long as I can keep our community from eating a 10 to 20% haircut while the rest of the galaxy eats shit, well, frankly, then that's Villy and K-Felds and the other bootlickers who want to excuse and enable this terrible behavior from, when I say the terrible behavior, specifically, I don't mean toxic behavior. I mean incompetent, minus EV, negative expected value behavior. Like essentially whatever this administration at CCP has touched has turned to shit for a while now. Like in many situations, we're told that there's a new feature, a new fun thing that's coming down the line. But in practice, it ends up creating more bugs than it solves, or it's creating chaos in areas that nobody asked for this. Nobody asked for waste. Nobody asked for residue. Nobody asked for compression to be re-added to the game after everybody cheered for it being removed from the game in 2014. But I'm pleased from an Imperium perspective. So this is an interesting perspective from a screaming about this on the meta show, because as far as I'm concerned, as long as I have a way to entertain my people who deserve the best, and we can make EVE Online fun for our people, then as far as the hopes and fears and the lot of people who are not aligned with us, or people who are hostile to us, or people who are just not involved in nullsec, it sucks, right? But great, we'll have to see how it is. That is a challenge for CCP2 though, because that means that I'm not going to be swinging from the rooftops going like, oh my God, like, because look, you can only yell so many times about bad, stupid man, touch important place, don't fuck with the stuff that's working, stop creating bugs, just stop. So I'm confident for us. I'm not confident for those Q4 earnings. I'm going to be very curious to see how that goes down. And
I think we all are going to be watching that very careful. I mean, that's the other thing you got to keep in mind. They drop a controversial patch 2 weeks before Christmas. Really?
And then go like the thing that fucked me up when I was reading this stuff is like there are these random dudes who are trying to mine in places that I've never been out there mining in years. Like, when was the last time I tried to mine something in high sec? I literally don't think I have ever tried.
I've seen you salvaging recently, but that was after M2.
But like, one of the things is when we don't know the scale of how much of an oof this thing is going to be until we have another couple of weeks to see the impact of it. But what I can tell you is that this is a third rail in core EVE Online gameplay, and like the high sec chunk of it, like messing with the miners is like trying to nerf krill in the ocean, right? It's a core part of the food web. And things get very scary if that food web is disrupted further. So do we know how bad it is? No, all we have is anecdotal reports, and we can't tell if that's the real deal or not, because so much of the shit is just bugs and some of this stuff is features, and nobody knows what the fuck. Nobody knows what the fuck is not a viable marketing pitch to make going into the holidays. Christmas is coming up. EVE Online. Nobody really knows what's going on here, but nobody seems too happy. And our most recent feature is adding waste. Merry Christmas. Enjoy your Yule stuff. Have fun with the residue, right?
Enjoy the coal in your stocking. That's the goal. That's your present. That's not a negative thing. That's your positive.
Remember, guys, I just remembered Age of Prosperity. They actually put that on their marketing material. Rorqual aimed into the sun, Age of Prosperity.
And to your point, and I think it's important to highlight this. As the game changes and new content gets added and things get moved around, it's very common. One of the groups that kind of just sat there and did their thing the whole time. They never really bothered anybody. It's just miners. That's what they did. The Rorqual changes, that was a huge thing for them, and it was a bonus. And a lot of people who were not miners became miners because of the Rorqual changes. But your average high-sec miner is doing the same shit he was doing 10 years ago. That's what he likes to do. That's what he's doing. If you guys remember SimCity, the old SimCity 2000, you could adjust tax rates for all different kinds of things. And everybody, they would give you good feedback on, all right, this is good, this is bad, you're having a bad impact here, you're having a good impact here. The transportation guy, if you cut his money by even $1, he would scream in all capital letters, you can't cut transportation money, you'll regret this. And that is exactly what miners are in EVE Online. You can't, if you leave them alone, they're fine. You start messing with their stuff, and they will screech louder than a howler monkey, and that's what's been happening. So, now listen. Again, I think Mittens is correct, at least when he talks about goons, and I'm pretty sure when he talks about the other groups. Folks are going to adapt. We'll figure out the new meta. We're going to figure out what are the best ships to use now, what's the best benefit, what crystals you need to do. We'll figure out where the bugs are. We'll get them into CCP. CCP will fix them, okay? The game will go on. But the biggest crisis in this game, besides the PCU, is the lack of any kind of hope or vision for the future that the players understand and can see and can look forward to. We have been waiting. It has been 3 weeks since we were promised a winter dev blog. It's still not here. We're waiting to see what that says. FanFest is in 5 months. I hope that we don't have to wait for FanFest to get some idea of where the game is going to go in the next 2 quarters. Just saying.
It's bad. I have a few ideas here of things that CCP could do to potentially preserve the Pearl Abyss's asset and reinvest in the game and sort of pull away from this. I'm going to try to keep this one relatively quick. I've even written it down.
Go ahead, because we have other stuff we have to get to.
Yeah, this will be my last bit on this. Is step one is just stop. Right. Step one is just stop. Right. Don't try to have any more brilliant ideas. Let's just try to assess the damage as it stands and figure out, fix all of the bugs that were added into this patch, and then let us know as a community with this communication thing to tell us, hey, okay, this is actually what we're saying the baseline product is, and then we can go from there. I think that EVE Online desperately needs a bunch of fixes and a bunch of cleanup, which is often from features that the Rattati administration has inflicted upon the game in the last 2 years and have clearly demonstrated utter incompetence when it comes to promising that we should trust them and they're going to end scarcity and Age of Prosperity, whatever. That's fine. This is bigger than any sort of like dev conflict now. This is a thing where it appears that Pearl Abyss purchased CCP as an asset to preserve their capital that they earned in a successful IPO years ago. And so the main thing when you're looking for a game that's been around for 18 years is it looks like a relatively safe place to park $200 million. Okay. This is important. CCP has regularly attempted to increase their portfolio of successful titles. This has not gone well over the years. It is a continual process, and there is a reasonable business case to be made for attempting to have things like, Toilet Eve, or they remember that VR Spark game, or Vampire the Masquerade. But historically speaking, this has not worked out well. But the way it has worked mechanically, and Dust, is they take money from Eve, which has been reliably shitting out, $10 to $20 million of profit every year or whatever, and then they use them to develop other games. 40. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what the numbers are. The point is that Eve is the golden goose. And I believe that the behavior of the Rattati administration and Hilmar's Age of Chaos has revealed an assumption on the part of the management over there that there is no way that they can kill the golden goose. Because PA purchased CCP, I believe, as an asset preservation sort of strategy. I could be wrong. I think that it would be reasonable to invest the profit from EVE Online into strengthening EVE Online. What seems to be happening over here as they announced this patch, not really announced it, they shoved it out there half-baked just before the Christmas holidays, is it appears that there's a skeleton crew over there. Certain well-known devs are off in Dev Siberia doing whatever. There's people there. There's stuff around that could be brought in to say, what are our top 10 things that we believe that the player base would be happy with to stabilize EVE and unfuck things in a priority order. The investment in EVE is going to need to increase. CCP is not going to be able to keep pulling from the game in a visible way to the players without reinvesting in the game. Otherwise, the golden goose will die. You can only ignore this thing and not reinvest it and take devs away to work on other products for, 15 or so years before you start seeing these risks of 20, 30% haircuts to your bottom line. So basically just please stop, please think, reinvest the money the game is making into getting more developers that can work on the game that is making money. Things like Spark are a long shot. Things like Blackout seem like a desperate attempt to make a bonus from an acquisition deal, right? If people see that CCP is hiring talent, is getting people, more devs working on the core game and fixing things, then that will rebuild trust. Right. That's there's a huge list of like little things and players' greatest hits and things that they can do, things that are relatively uncontroversial. They can find them because God knows they've added a shitload of bugs in the last 2 years, because I'm not sure that gate rats are really a feature people wanted. And just especially if the people involved have any background in financial analysis, as is being alleged in chatter or something, maybe they should go read some fucking Charlie Munger and get their heads out of their asses before the people that parked $225 million in their company to preserve an asset over a long term. Pearl Abyss bought the golden goose. You need to clean, feed, and entertain the golden goose, or it's going to keel over and die. And then a chunk of Iceland's economy is in trouble. So that's the last I'm going to say on that. Yeah.
And for the record, CCP has not reached out to Matani, at least as far as I know, to ask him about this. And I don't know if they care to listen to us anymore.
I don't think they'd listen to me at all. What does that guy do? He disagrees with me in public, and therefore he must be wrong.
But I think we've gotten to the point now where they don't want you to listen to us either, because I can't understand for the life of me why CCP is running an official stream at the same time as the Meta Show, where the bulk of their audience is every Saturday night, afternoon at 4 o'clock. I guess they don't want you guys listening to us. So thanks for being here and not watching CCP. Whatever they're doing over there on CCP stream. Anyway, enough of this. We have crapped on these guys enough. I want to end the show on a funny note. We have 20 minutes left, and we have some funny shit for you guys. It's pretty solid. All right.
This is
the Test Town Hall. So we're going to do the Nullsec Power Hour. The Nullsec Power Hour will be 20 minutes, but still, we're going to pack an hour's worth of goodness in that 20 minutes for you guys. So get ready. All right. So last weekend on Sunday, Test Alliance, please ignore our dear, dear friends, former allies in Imperial Legacy, most recently our most vicious enemies, who we had vanquished in the war of extermination that they began and were unable to complete, thanks to the amazingly awesome leadership skills of Vili and ProGod and the rest of his band of merry men. They have decided to tell everybody what they're going to do next, because let me set this up for you. And Bosch, you can jump in here if you have any more details, right. But there was a big question, not just in the Imperium, but I think in a lot of areas. What is Test going to do now? They're in Outer Passage. I think the general consensus was that Tess would not be able to stay there forever. That is Pan Fam space. That's where they live. That's their rental regions. And we started looking around the map and trying to figure out where they could go. Well, they could go to Declan. They could go to Faith Abilis. They could go to Omis. They could go to any of these other areas that are like rental territory. They could go and take space for Mangoes. They could go back to Esoteria. They could go to Tenerifis if they wanted to. They could go to Imencia. There's a ton of places they could go. So they decided that they wanted to announce to their members where they were going to go. Mittens, where do you think they ended up? Where do you think? You've heard the rumors. I mean, everybody was wondering where they were going to go. Is that or not? Is that not true?
I mean, at the time, yeah, absolutely. Originally, and then when this town hall was announced, there was sort of a basic assumption, and we mapped it out. So just to give people some sort of context on the whole Test is Next stuff, at the start of the war, I said that we were dumping Encidad and Band of Brothers as being like the big grudge for Goonswarm. And that our new favorite redheaded stepchild was going to be Test, and that we would be kicking them around the galaxy, basically just letting the Bob people know, look, it's over, we're done with it, and free pass. Now, they ran to Outer Passage as far away from us as possible, and we set up essentially a couple of zones here. And I'm very comfortable talking about these now because it's a frying pan or fire scenario. They can sit there and wait for us to come after them in Outer Passage, which I'm going to call the Zone of Rot, or they can come within our tantrum radius, which is what I would describe as the hopeful. I mean, maybe we would lose, maybe it wouldn't work, but the Zone of Murder, right? And then for the past several months, they have sat there in the Zone of rotting, right? They've been losing talent. They've been losing corporations. We're going to be talking about this a little as we make fun of them for the next however many minutes. But while sitting in the Zone of Rot, losing talent and corporations, going, gosh, the Mittani said the Test is next, and now we're over here in Outer Passage, and why aren't they coming to attack?
On the screen.
As they lose core people, and so we anticipated that maybe they would try to leave the Zone of Rot for the zone of hypothetical death and vengeance. Hope springs eternal, but instead we got a town hall and I thought it was a lovely town hall because a lot of funny things came from it, from Baldur, whoever the fuck he is, who's the whatever the fuck that's been left in charge of Test as Elf Boy poaches everything not nailed down out of it.
So here we go. So
yeah.
all right. So I'm going to play this for you guys, and just bear with me. There are going to be some little spots where there's no talking. I'll jump in when it's done. Mm-hmm. But listen to this. This is how they started their big town hall with Baldur, who nobody knows who the fuck he is, who is now apparently the second in charge of the Alliance. He's CEO of Dreadit. He is now like the big guy because nobody knows where Sapporo is at any given time. So he's the guy in charge. This is his first town hall that we've seen. So here's how it started.
Let me just get this out of the way. This is exciting because we are now going to put to bed the rumors forever. People have been, it's conspiracy theory land out there. People have been speculating, but I'm just completely stoked right now to let you all know what we're going to be doing come January. So with that.
Somebody muted him?
Yeah, who's muting me? Okay, whoever muted me. Sorry. All right. Well, I guess my audio is just going to be terrible.
Yes, much like you're posting. We
can understand you.
Tell Guderian to never mute me again. I'll fucking skull thump him really fucking hard.
I'll skull thump him really fucking hard if he mutes me again. Can you imagine what would happen if some random dude in Goons decided to mute Mittani during a State of the Union? That would be the most hilarious.
It would also be our fault for not having set up a system where that's not possible, right? Like, I'm sorry. Look, you got 15,000. I didn't know that Test was so bloated that they had 15,000 pilots still in there. I hadn't really looked at it in a hot minute. They're sort of like Brave in the sense that they really desperately should kick their inactives. But, okay. Yeah, let's keep the hits coming. I want to hear more of this incompetence. It's funny.
Drum roll, please. Where are they going?
So the good news is that we have been working tirelessly to get for the last 3 months is a destination for where we will be going in January. So you're going to stay in Outer Passage. We are going to stay in Outer Passage indefinitely.
We are staying indefinitely.
You
They are
get to rot in
staying
the
in
drone
Outer
regions forever and
Passage.
get poached into Horde.
Indefinitely. Indefinitely. They are not leaving. This is
They love the zone of rot.
by far some of the worst space in the game. Let me show you this, and I'll tell you, they clearly want to stay there because look at this shit. So this is Outer Passage, at least most of it that I can fit on the screen right now. Okay? Look at these ADMs. I mean, they've crabbed the shit out of this region. Of course they don't want to leave it. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh, they're going on the razor path.
It's amazing to me that after all of this public discussion, all of the conspiracy theories and everything, where is Tess going to go? Where are they going to go? Where are we going? Where are they going? They're staying in Outer Passage. Unbelievable. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean they're joining PanFam? Well, that's the next question.
Takeaways from this: we are not part of PanFam. That's not what it means. The blue standings that we have right now are going to stay intact.
We're not in PanFam, but we're still blue to them and their
that's fair
space.
for renters. I mean, at this point, they've basically accepted the path of Razor, right? They're going to be a once nullsec alliance that's going to go off to the drone regions and lose all their talent and rot away, and then wonder why Goonswarm isn't dropping what we're doing and chasing them when they're busy ruining their own alliance for us. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's just funny to me. And I will say this, first of all, I have to laugh that Tess doesn't have services that are good enough to handle a town hall without Mumble sounding like a robot. Because Mittens routinely does 1,000-person firesides, and we have no issues. And it sounds fine.
Enterprise tier org, and these guys have never invested in their infrastructure.
Maybe they should have spent a little bit of time on this. But anyway, getting to the next thing. So somebody finally asked, well, all right, we're staying in Outer Passage. Does that mean that we're just stuck? We're not doing anything anymore? So listen to this.
Are we going to be limited to Outer Passage in terms of space, or will we be taking more? You find some space that we can take from somebody. That would be swell. I'm always down to fight. I'm always down to get some for you guys.
Always, he sounds like he's down to fight. He sounds like he loves fighting.
Jeremy, that said, as long as it's not stupid. You're like, can we take Pureblind?
Exactly. As long as it's not stupid, can we take Pureblind? Listen, this is a 15,000 person or 15,000 member alliance. Now, granted, obviously that's on paper, but they still have at least 1,000 players, right? The idea that Test can't just find a space that's full of random people and take it from them is utterly hilarious. They could have taken Cloud Ring. They could have taken Clown Ring. Right?
Please try. Please. Absolutely.
They could have taken, listen, you can go to Dotland and you can look. There are random renter held spaces all over the game that they could take. But unfortunately, you know why they can't take any of them?
Zone of Death.
Not even that. It's because they're still part of this fucking blue donut, and all the renters for NC Dot and PanFam have all the rest of that, and Fraternity have all the rest of that space. So they can't take money out of their parents' pockets. That wouldn't be okay. So if you can find some space that isn't either the Imperium or PanFam renters, let me know. Okay, dude. That's what Test is stuck. So now they're kind of stuck in Outer Passage. They don't have a choice. They're going to rot away in the worst space in Eve because they have blued themselves to the point that they don't have a choice. There's nowhere else for them to go. Otherwise, they're fighting with their friends. But Mittens, we know how Test feels about their friends, don't we?
I think that the standard if I remember correctly, one of the best examples of how Test treats their friends is the reaction after the war of how they shat on Brave at every opportunity, insisting that because we did a handshake deal with them for transferring some assets, which we do all of the time with lots of our enemies and have for decades, well, not decades yet, but for more than a decade, and just howling instantly, turning around to attack Brave in every medium possible, trying to get people to shit on them, even though Brave pretty much lost everything that they had because Sharded Armor, aka Pappy Snowden, attached himself to Pro God Legend's tiny little penis so hard that they pretty much barely exist as an alliance and keep losing corp. Hey, stop me if this sounds familiar, but Test did treat their allies badly to the point that they went and started rotting away and losing corporations and being completely irrelevant. So yeah, they're pretty shit, but what do they do now, Brisk?
Well, it's exactly what you said. Who was Test's biggest friend for the longest time? Brave. Who destroyed their alliance to help save Test's bullshit war efforts? Brave. How do they talk about Brave? Well, listen to this.
Yeah, okay, you need to let Brave not reside rent-free in your brain at the end of time. There's better ways to live, and that's partly going to be you not thinking about Brave.
Keep listening. It gets better.
I can't even remember the last time I thought about Brave.
That's Carmen Gel. They're military.
I read their Slack, and every time I go to their Slack, and I'm like, oh God, thank God I'm not in this fucking alliance.
I got a lot of time for Brave, and certainly they made a lot of contributions to Legacy over the time that we were, very, very close with them. But certainly my life is a lot easier now that we don't deal with Brave all the time.
I want to like them. I give them every opportunity to like them, and then I go read stuff that happens. And I'm just like, oh, these poor bastards. I really wish I could go to them and help them, and make them.
They don't
make them an offer like, hey, let's be bros again. Let's be cool. Let's, we can do it together. We can fucking run this game and rule the galaxy as father and son. And then somebody said a bad word near them, and then they hate us forever.
Oh, see, that's it. They seem to think that the only reason Brave is upset with Test is because someone said a bad word near Brave, and now they hate us forever. Or maybe it could be because you guys use them as your meat shields, and they're tired of it. But I will say I have to laugh because this is the group of people that Brave consistently turned us down for, so that they could hang out with these guys.
Yeah,
consistently turned us down
over and over. Some people, they just can't help themselves. They want to find they're attracted to shitty people that'll shit on them, and it is amazing to me because this is no surprise to anybody who knows anything about Test, right? Like Test treats their allies like shit. Test did all through the war. They did before the war. They are hypocrites. They are weak. They are inconsistent, and every time that people throw in their lot with them, it ends up tragic for everyone who threw in their lot with Test. And we learned our lesson. We learned our lesson with trying to help Brave. My whole thing with Brave now is that I think they just love the misery, right? Like that we obviously would have been better allies for years now, but they decided that they wanted. One of the things that was really funny about this, talking about Brave in the war, is that I was personally shocked by how hard the Brave guys tried to ruin the Imperium, right? They fleeted up. Shattered Armor was there constantly. Maybe they didn't have the biggest numbers, but I was genuinely surprised to see the animus that was coming from Brave's line members towards us. And they turned up through the entire war, way more than a lot of the other PISP allies. And so that kind of sucked, right? It was like, we've tried to help these guys so much. Okay, well, whatever, just we're going to have to deal with these people. And we did. But it is really funny seeing everybody in Test sort of this is on a town hall, guys. Like Karthus Jane asked a wonderful question in chat, which was this a leak or was this a town hall? This is a town hall given by the CEO of the largest corporation in Test Alliance, please ignore, to an alliance of 15,000 pilots worth of humans during a Q&A, sitting there and entertaining questions shitting on their former allies. This is extremely public, and then they all just kind of went on about it for a while. Anybody that chooses to be friends with Test and go along with that, you get what you get. And if people have the opportunity to learn this about Test, like this is out there, this is in public, this is never going to go away. And that's probably also why. Well, if we lived in a rational and just world, which we don't, the fact that Test are so shitty and inconsistent to their allies would result in consequences. But in reality, it's gotten them a couch in Outer Passage because it's the only place we can't really get to them easily, and they're in the zone of rot. But my God, what a bunch of pathetic, hypocritical, weak fuck-ups.
But that's the best part. Yeah. Right? I mean, that's the best part. The hypocrisy is the best part. Lectures,
we're bad
Jeremy.
Allies, by the way. I'm a bad alliance leader. The Imperium is awful. We treat our allies like shit, right? Anyway,
says
Jesus
no one ever.
Christ. Yeah, I mean, what the fuck? Anyway, please continue, Brisk.
But the hypocrisy is the funny thing because he starts off, first of all, all right, before I even get to the hypocrisy, Balder, oh my God, you sound just like Mifune, Sword God. I'm worried that you are Mifune and this is like a deep cover thing and now we run Test by accident because he sounds just like Mifune. It's freaking weird. Okay. Second, on the hypocrisy thing, he tells Jeremy Andrade, who's one of their FCs, who's a former Brave member, you got to quit worrying about Brave. Stop letting Brave in your head. And then proceeds to shit on Brave for the next 2 minutes. It's like, okay, guys, well, you just literally did what you said not to do. Okay, fine. Now, the last thing, there was a bunch of other stuff that they covered in this town hall, and I'll give you the summary. Essentially, they're not going anywhere. They're staying where they are. They're changing some of their doctrines. They can't use Tempests anymore because they're too expensive. Thanks, CCP. So they're going to make one of the classic blunders. And it's not a land war in Asia. And it's not arguing with a Sicilian when death is on the line. It's trying to make a Typhoon doctrine work. They're switching from Tempests to Typhoons. Okay? It's it's inconceivable. It's just, how many times have people tried to make a Typhoon doctrine work? It doesn't work. Sorry, guys. Anyway, have fun with that Test. They're going to do that. They're going to do a fun deployment sometime in January. When will this happen? How will we know? Well, you'll know when we tell you when it's happening. They don't know where they're going. They haven't figured out whether they're going to deploy or anything, but we'll find out when we find out. They've got all kinds of different doctrines. They're doing this. They're doing that. Are we going to help PanFam if they want to do stuff? Well, if they ask us to, sure. That type of stuff.
Do you have the? I don't know if you have the clip of this, but this was a funny bit. Do you happen to have the audio clip of where they're asking questions about Mr. Fourth Place?
Yes, that is the last clip that we were going with today. That's the last clip we're going with today. Now listen. If you had asked the average person in EVE Online, who is the head of Test? The answer to that would be, it's Villy. Mm-hmm. He was the most obvious front person. He was the guy on all the shows. He was even worse than me about being an attention whore, which is hard. And everybody knew who he was, and he was the main guy. And now you've got Balder and Carmen, who nobody has heard of, really, other than the folks that are in Test. Piggles, no Pro God in this chat. He wasn't even there. People were asking, where's Pro God? They had to tell people like a dozen times. It's funny because the guys on Reddit always laugh because we always make a Pro God joke like, Pro God wasn't even mentioned. Why are you bringing him up? Their own people brought him up like 16 times. Like, where's Pro God? Why isn't he here doing this? That was funny. But the biggest question they asked was, where's Villy? Even Test is asking where Villy is. So let me play this. This is a long clip, but it's funny. And I think it's weird that they had to go into this level of detail, like justifying things. But this is pretty funny. So where's Villy? How's Villy? How's he doing?
How's Villy doing? He's not here. Wanted to ask him. I don't know. I think he's doing okay. He's retired. He's living his best life. Isn't really engaged with Alliance military or anything like that. He's just focused on running his corporation.
He seems to be doing pretty good from what I know, at least. I think maybe like a week or two ago, I actually had a sit down chat with him about some stuff on Mumble, and me and him just had a chat 1-to-1 for maybe 2 or 3 hours or something. And it was really good. He was actually just very funny, very nice, had a lot of stuff to help me out with. There's certainly no bad blood or between Villy and the Alliance or anything like that at all. He's just doing his own thing now. He's, as everyone knows, taking a step back, and he's just doing his own thing.
Billy deserves to kind of go do something small scale like that, like off on his own. And there's there's zero animosity. Like if Billy came to me today and was like, I want to come back and lead the Alliance, I would definitely entertain that. That would be fucking awesome. But for the most part, I think he's interested in doing something, in focusing on himself, building his corporation, and being the person that he wants to be in this moment. And I still have regular high level conversations with him about the GTT and all of that stuff. Like I'm in his DMs constantly, and it's all above the board and very cordial.
Maybe worth pointing out quickly as well that pretty much all of the stuff that Billy previously had access to, like he still has all his characters, like in the Cash Corps and the Executive Corp and all this kind of stuff. Like it's never been a case of like we just like pull roles from him for anything, for any reason. Like he's still around, he still has all the access to stuff, but he's just doing something else. The guy just has different priorities. They said he's living his best life. They say he's going out there and being himself, the man he wants to be. I mean, this is the type of shit they say at the end of Old Yeller, okay? Like he lived his best life.
Dude, the thing is that Villy and another corp, her, and then of course they also lost the Predators Corp. We haven't talked about that. We can hit that later. But like, look, guys, here's the deal. I'm going to place a bet here that Villy is probably going to end up clogging up Elf Boy's organization inside of a month or two if he's not there already. He wants to be a player. Maybe, this whole idea of him, but basically the longer Test sits there and rots and shits on their allies and goes onto this path of rot, that rot is going to be reflected in their talents leaving. And I personally look forward to as many of the toxic, hypocritical, shitty fuck ups as possible in Test. I encourage you guys to join Pandemic Horde. I think you'll find a great place within Elf Boy's organization. I know from spying on you guys all through the war that this was explicitly part of Elf Boy's plan. Was once it became clear that things were not going to be so great over on the legacy side, the basic idea for PanFam is to do what they always do when they ally with Test. You guys were warned in the Fountain War. You did it again. They're going to poach everything that's not worth, everything that they think is worth anything that's not nailed down. Now, everything that is in Test is hot garbage. So I'm eager to see Elf Boy take just a huge dose of incompetence from Test and inject it into his organization. And I'm hoping that by calling this out on the Meta Show publicly in front of everyone, that he will double down and do it even more, right? Because the Matani said it, blah, blah, blah. Like, maybe he'll go the opposite direction and like really, really poach the shit out of them.
But you said it best. That's
I'm pretty sure what's happening soon.
You said it best when you said in the chat, the lady doth protest too much. Mm-hmm. Like the constant telling everybody, he's fine. He's not quitting. He's not leaving. He's not leaving the organization. He still has all of his roles. He hasn't had anything removed. We haven't done anything. If he wants to come back and take over, that we'd entertain that. That'd be great. Who is saying that he's leaving? Is that now a thing? Who is saying that he's going to have his role stripped? Is that a thing? I mean, I feel like that whole thing there was very indicative of some guilty consciences on the side of some of the Test leadership, that they have to go and assure their members that the members' favorite person, and I still don't understand why he is. He destroys your alliance and crapped up the game, but hey, you know what? We still love you. All right. That you got to go and assure them he's not going anywhere. Can you imagine? I wonder what would happen if Villy ended up leaving Test. I think you're exactly right. I think half these guys would all end up in Horde.
Yeah,
and who knows where the hell he would be.
He's been cited in Pokven. Pokven is a place where a lot of these guys have been going to.
That is true.
Try to regenerate a feeling of relevance, and I encourage that also. I'm going to say that publicly on the Meta Show in hopes that they, when I say that I think it's a mistake and that they are getting over involved in something that is a strategic waste of their time, I hope that they get more involved in it. Because do the opposite of what I said. But, this is what they deserve. This is the fate that they chose. They chose to go out there. They chose the easy way. They've never decided, the people that are still in Test against all of the evidence of their eyes and their ears, choose to remain in an organization. And I don't know how many of those 15,000 pilots are real human beings, but in the aftermath of this, all of those people have clapped for and cheered for wards of extermination. They've clapped for Pro-God. They've crapped for Villy. They've clapped for Elf Boy. They're out there in Outer Passage. They're staying there. And this is exactly what you would expect from an organization full of terrible, toxic leaders that are only interested in themselves and don't give a fuck about their line. And so on the one hand, I'd say that I feel sympathy for Test, but I don't. There's no mercy in my heart. And these people have made their bed and they've lied in it, in the same way that I've stopped feeling any sympathy or mercy for the people in Brave who are there because they like the drama and like, oh gosh, there's a drama and people are kneeling themselves up on crosses. And, it does what it says on the tin. It's exactly as advertised. You got what you were told you were going to get. And that is misery and Outer Passage and failure. So
enjoy your time in the worst space in Eve, being renters to PanFam and blue to everybody around you. So have fun trying to get some content that way. Anyway, we spent more time on Test than they deserve, but you know what?
They've been asking for it. They've been wondering why we haven't been sending war fleets to them. And I want to let you guys know now it's safe for me to talk about the whole Zone of Rot thing, because Testa's Nest, gosh, why aren't the goons invading? Why aren't we? We never said we were going to chase them to the other side of the galaxy. We're saying we're dumping Bob because it's more fun to pick on Test. And by God, it is a lot of fun to pick on Test. And I'm delighted. I can't wait to see your organization continue to degrade as the consequences of your failures of character and judgment come back to haunt your organization for years to come. Fuck 'em.
And we understand that there will be another Test town hall before Christmas, potentially. So we'll look forward to getting the audio from that. Hopefully in that time frame, Balder fixes his mic and we'll have some better audio for you guys. But in any event, we're way over time. We gave you guys a lot of extra show today.
Yeah.
We're having fun today. So listen, again, we're going to keep monitoring the CCP situation. Hopefully we'll start. I think I wouldn't at all be surprised to say that the PCU will tick up a little bit as people come back to figure out what's wrong with these changes. And we see some more people.
And they might get a little boost from the holidays too, right? Like, we'll just have to see. We'll
see what happens. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Obviously, hopefully we will see some changes. But that has been the Meta Show for this week, December the 11th, 2021. I'm Brisker Ball, joined alongside the Matani. We hope you had fun getting some old-fashioned Test crap as well as some CCP stuff. Thank you all for watching, as always, and you stay classy, New Eve.